Today is February 25th, 2020, and about an hour ago, breaking news came out that Bob Iger has stepped down as the CEO of Disney. Everyone, of course, is reporting and speculating on it. A lot of people are freaking out and making it more than what it is. So let's take a look at what's really going on. Bob Iger was named the COO of Disney in 2000. In 2005, he became the CEO of Disney. His four major achievements during his tenure are acquiring Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, and launching Disney+. April 11, 2019, Bob Iger. I'm expecting my contract to expire at the end of 2021, Iger said Thursday during Disney's Investor Day presentations. And I was going to say, and this time I mean it, but I've said it before, I've been CEO since October of 2005, and as I've said many times, there's a time for everything, and 2021 will be the time for me to finally step down. So this is not a surprise. Bob Iger last year announced it, and his contract is known to end in December of 2021. Some people are acting like this is out of nowhere, that it wasn't planned, which it was, and some people are speculating that it was kind of sudden. Well, rather than relying on news sources, let's hear it from Disney themselves. February 24th, 2020, Mr. Robert Iger. Amendment to amended and restated employment agreement, dated as of October 6, 2011, and as previously amended. So the last employment agreement that he had was in 2011, October 6, which was amended yesterday, February 24th, 2020. This letter amends your amended and restated employment agreement, dated October 6, 2011, and as previously amended to provide that from after February 24, 2020, you shall continue to serve as the chairman of the board and as a full-time officer and employee of the company with the title of executive chairman. As executive chairman, you shall report directly and exclusively to the board. The chief executive officer of the company shall report to you in your capacity as executive chairman and to the board. As executive chairman, you will continue to direct the company's content creation and have such other authority, duties, and responsibilities commensurate with your position and experience as the board, after consultation with you, may assign to you from time to time. Except as specified above, the agreement shall otherwise continue in accordance with its terms, and in the event of any conflict between the terms contained herein and the agreement, the terms contained herein shall govern. Defined terms used, but not defined, in this letter have the meanings ascribed thereto in the agreement. If you agree that the foregoing sets forth our full understanding regarding the amendment of the agreement, please evidence your agreement and acceptance by countersigning 2 copies of this letter where indicated below, returning 1 executed copy to me. The Walt Disney Company by Alan N. Braverman, Senior Executive Vice President, General Counsel, and Secretary. Agreed and accepted, Robert A. Iger, dated February 24, 2020. Now let's look at the important parts here. This was just yesterday where they made the official change. He will remain as a full-time officer and employee of the company with the title of Executive Chairman. He will report directly and exclusively to the board. The Chief Executive Officer, Bob Chapek, who is just announced to be the new CEO, shall report to you in your capacity as Executive Chairman and to the board. As Executive Chairman, you will continue to direct the company's content creation and have such other authority, duties, and responsibilities commensurate with your position and experience as the board, after consultation with you, may assign to you from time to time. While Chapek has been announced as the successor, Bob Iger is still executive chairman. Chapek has to report to him until December of 2021. So it's not quite what some people think, that Chapek's just taking over and making all the decisions. Chapek will still have to report to Iger. Iger, furthermore, will be mentoring him throughout the process until December 2021. Yes, Chapek is now the new CEO. He will have authority to make decisions, but just know that it's clearly stated here that Chapek must report to Iger. So it's not like Iger is just stepping down completely and Chapek is taking over and everything's going to change at Disney overnight, because it's not. Disney CEO Bob Iger will be replaced by Disney Parks, Experiences, and Product Chairman Bob Chapek, age 60, as CEO, effective immediately. Iger will stay on as executive chairman through the end of 2021 with a focus on creative endeavors, while Bob Chapek will be immediately the CEO and running daily operations at Disney. The creative endeavors will still be decided upon by Bob Iger. So this means that Marvel, Star Wars, all these things aren't going to change overnight. Kathleen Kennedy is not going anywhere, at least until 2021. Now, it's not a coincidence that Kennedy's contract ends in 2021, as do Bob Iger's. Keep that in mind. Rather than relying on news sources that want to break news and have the exclusive and put their spin on it, here is an official press release from Disney. Bob Chapek named Chief Executive Officer of the Walt Disney Company. Robert Iger assumes role of Executive Chairman through 2021. Mr. Iger will direct the company's creative endeavors. Mr. Chapek brings 27 years of successful leadership experience across Disney's parks, consumer products, and studio businesses. February 25th, 2020, 4:05 p.m. Eastern. Burbank, California. The Walt Disney Company Board of Directors announced today that Bob Chapek has been named Chief Executive Officer. The Walt Disney Company, effective immediately. Mr. Chapek most recently served as chairman of Disney Parks, Experiences, and Products. Robert Iger assumes the role of executive chairman and will direct the company's creative endeavors, while leading the board and providing the full benefit of his experience, leadership, and guidance to ensure a smooth and successful transition through the end of his contract on December 31st, 2021. So we're talking about still 2 years that Bob Iger is going to be in control of what is happening creatively at Disney. Regardless of Chapek being the CEO, Bob Iger still holds the cards. There are a bunch of quotes here in this article, but I'm going to let you hear it directly from their podcast that was released also a few hours ago. In Mr. Chapek's new role as CEO, he will directly oversee all of the company's business segments and corporate functions. Mr. Chapek will report to the executive chairman, Mr. Iger, and the board of directors. He will be appointed to the board at a later date. A new head of Disney Parks, Experiences, and Products will be named at a future time. Mr. Chapek served as chairman of Disney Parks, Experiences, and Products since the segment's creation in 2018. While Chapek will be running Disney, he has to report to Iger and the board. And furthermore, he's not even on the board. For those that don't know, in large corporations, at the end of the day, the board controls what happens in the corporation. Not the president, not the founder, not the owner. The board has majority vote. So at the end of the day, they're trusting Chapek to run Disney. Fine. I'm sure they're going to give him a lot of latitude. But when it comes down to major decisions, he still has to report to Iger and the board. So it's not like Chapek is going to come in tomorrow and be like, all right, we're doing this with Star Wars. We're going to get rid of all the sequel trilogy. That's not canon. We're going to change this. We're going to do that. Kathleen's out of there. It's not going to happen because at the end of the day, he has to clear decisions with Iger and the board of directors. Iger and the board of directors have brought Disney to where it is today. So they're not about to just flip on a dime and start making major changes as far as Star Wars is concerned, Marvel, Kathleen Kennedy. We are going to be stuck with Kathleen Kennedy and Robert Iger until the end of 2021. Still about 2 years to go with the mess that is Star Wars. So you can pretty much forget about Obi-Wan, Cassian Andor, new movies, anything major coming from Star Wars. The only thing that's really happening and is guaranteed is The Mandalorian. Mr. Chapek served as chairman of Disney Parks, Experiences, and Products since the segment's creation in 2018, and prior to that was chairman of Walt Disney Parks and Resorts since 2015. As chairman of Disney Parks, Experiences, and Products, Mr. Chapek oversaw the company's largest business segment with operations around the globe and more than 170,000 employees worldwide. The segment includes Disney's iconic travel and leisure businesses, encompassing 6 resort destinations in the United States, Europe, and Asia, a top-rated cruise line, a popular vacation ownership program, and an award-winning guided family adventure business. Disney's global consumer products operations include the world's leading licensing business across toys, apparel, home goods, digital games, and apps. The world's largest children print publisher, Disney store locations around the world, and the Shop Disney e-commerce platform. During his tenure at the parks segment, Mr. Chapek oversaw the opening of Disney's first theme park and resort in mainland China, Shanghai Disney Resort. The addition of numerous guest offerings across Disney's 6 resort destinations in the US, Europe, and Asia, including the creation of the new Star Wars Galaxy's Edge lands at Disneyland and Walt Disney World, and the addition of Marvel-inspired attractions around the globe, and the expansion of Disney Cruise Line with the announced construction of 3 new ships. From 2011 to 2015, Mr. Chapek was president of the former Disney Consumer Products segment, where he drove the technology-led transformation of the company's consumer products, retail, and publishing operations. Prior to that, he served as president of distribution for the Walt Disney Studios and was responsible for overseeing the studio's overall content distribution strategy across multiple platforms, including theatrical exhibition, home entertainment, pay TV, digital entertainment, and new media. He also served as president of Walt Disney Studios Home Entertainment, where he spearheaded the successful Vault strategy for the company's iconic films and transformed the primary format of home entertainment from DVD to Blu-ray. Before joining Disney in 1993, Mr. Chapek worked in brand management at H.J. Heinz Company and in advertising at J. Walter Thompson. Mr. Chapek earned a B.S. in microbiology at Indiana University, Bloomington, and an MBA from Michigan State University. Key points to take from this official press conference from Disney, not a news report. Chapek is effective immediately, the CEO, but at the end of the day, he must report to Iger and the board. He is also not part of the board yet, so don't expect Chapek to be making any changes today, tomorrow, or for a while. And in fact, he's not going to be able to make any major decisions for the next 2 years. Effectively, Bob Iger is still in control, which means nothing at Disney or Star Wars is going to change anytime soon. When you look at their bodies of work, Iger on a larger, more public scale has had some impact, obviously, on Disney. Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, Disney Plus. Those are huge achievements. No one is denying that from Bob Iger. Bob Iger also has been involved in a lot of ugly things, like the recent Emerson Elementary fine, where he publicly had to come out and apologize and claimed he was going to make a donation. We still do not have a confirmation of that donation happening, or how much the donation was, if it did. On a smaller, more personal scale, Mr. Chapek seems to be a much more qualified, experienced, and successful man. He has done a ton of stuff for Disney. Remember that the president and CEO oversees the operations of a company. And while he can do a lot, at the end of the day, he's the boss. And like any company or corporation, the employees are who make things happen, not the boss. The boss is overseeing things. So in reality, Chapek, as I read to you in just a moment ago, has done quite a bit, from cruises to Galaxy's Edge to marketing, the evolution from DVD to Blu-ray, developing parks. He has done a lot for Disney. Realistically, he has done much more for the development and growth of Disney than Bob Iger. Bob Iger did big segments. He did make some major acquisitions. But as far as really truly growing the global brand, Bob Chapek is really the man behind that. It makes sense for him to become the CEO. I'm not diminishing Bob Iger's achievements because they are large, but just a comparison that Chapek is actually more qualified and has done more on a ground level for Disney than Bob Iger actually has. With all of that said, let's hear all of this straight from the horse's mouth. February 25th, 2020, investor conference call. You're going to hear Bob Chapek and Bob Iger talk about the transition and what exactly happened. There's no better source than straight from Disney and from the two men involved as to what is really happening with the transition and change of CEO at the Walt Disney Company.
Joining me for today's call are Bob Iger, Disney's Executive Chairman, and Bob Chapek, Disney's Chief Executive Officer. Both Bobs will make some introductory comments, after which we will be happy to take a handful of your questions. So with that, let me turn the call over to Bob Iger.
About a half an hour ago, we announced that Bob Chapek has been named Chief Executive Officer of the Walt Disney Company, effective immediately. I have assumed the role of Executive Chairman and will continue to direct the company's creative endeavors while also leading the board. This is an exciting day for Disney, an historic day, and I'm thrilled for Bob. I've worked closely with him for many years and have absolute confidence in his abilities, as does the board. As CEO, Bob will oversee all of the company's business segments and corporate functions, and we will work closely together through the end of 2021 to further the company's strategic objectives and to ensure a smooth and successful transition. Bob has been with Disney for nearly 3 decades, and during this time, he has achieved stellar results across a wide array of businesses. He is highly respected within Disney and throughout our industry for his visionary leadership, integrity, extensive knowledge of our businesses, as well as his willingness to take smart, thoughtful, and innovative risks for the future. As president of home entertainment for the Walt Disney Studios, he spearheaded the highly successful Vault strategy that brought Disney's iconic films and characters to new generations of viewers. As president of distribution for the studio, he directed the company's film distribution strategy and expanded our global reach across multiple platforms. As head of consumer products, he transformed the business, focusing it on our key franchises and embracing technological innovation to deliver unmatched consumer experiences. And most recently, as chairman of Parks, Experiences, and Products, he oversaw the largest capital expansion in the history of our parks. That included the opening of Shanghai Disney Resort, a doubling of the Disney Cruise Line fleet, and the creation of the new Star Wars Galaxy's Edge land at Disneyland and Walt Disney World. Bob has worked closely and collaboratively with leaders across the different segments of our company, and I'm confident he will apply the same vision, passion, and commitment to excellence in his new role as Chief Executive Officer. I've had the tremendous privilege of being CEO of the Walt Disney Company for the past 15 years, and it's been thrilling for me to be part of such an exciting and productive era for our company. I'm enormously proud of all that we've accomplished creatively, financially, and strategically, including the acquisition of 21st Century Fox and the incredibly successful launch of our direct-to-consumer businesses. With these key endeavors well underway, I believe it's the right time to transition to a new CEO. And having worked closely with Bob for many years, I believe he is absolutely the right person to assume this role and lead our company in this next pivotal period. I'm certain that under his leadership, our portfolio of great businesses and our amazing and talented people will continue to serve our company and our shareholders well into the future. I congratulate Bob and look forward to working with him and the other members of our amazing leadership team. And with that, I'll hand it over to him to say a few words.
Thanks, Bob, and hello, everyone. It's a tremendous honor for me to assume the role of CEO of the Walt Disney Company. I am humbled by and deeply appreciative of this opportunity, and I'm enormously grateful for Bob and the board's confidence and strong support. I've had the opportunity to watch Bob lead this company to amazing heights over the past 15 years, and I've gained invaluable insight and experience as a member of his senior management team during this incredibly dynamic period. Bob, I feel very fortunate to be able to work closely with you during this transition as I assume this new role and delve deeper into our businesses and operations. And I know I'll benefit greatly from your wisdom and expertise. I've been lucky and privileged to work for this company for 27 years. And whether I was at studios as the head of home entertainment or distribution, on the retail side of the business leading consumer products, or overseeing Disney Parks, Experiences, and Products, I've always felt like I had the very best job in the world. At Disney, our mission is simple: to entertain, inform, and inspire people around the globe through the power of unparalleled storytelling. Storytelling is at the heart of everything that we do, and I believe we do it better than anyone. And that's reflected in the strong connection that we share with fans and consumers worldwide. My priority as CEO, working with our incredibly talented management team, is to continue the growth and stewardship of this great brand while preserving its rich legacy. I share Bob's commitment to creative excellence, technological innovation, and international expansion, and I will embrace these same strategic pillars going forward. We will continue to pursue bold innovation, thoughtful risk-taking, and the creative storytelling that is the lifeblood of our company, and our achievements to date will serve as the foundation for the future. I also want to say how proud I am to be working alongside our exceptional cast members and employees who will make it all happen every day around the world. Without question, they are Disney's greatest assets and the key to our success. When I was growing up in Hammond, Indiana, the son of a World War II veteran and working mother, my parents would take us on a family vacation to Walt Disney World every year. That's where I first developed a deep love for Disney and all that it stands for. That young boy could have never imagined that one day he would get the chance to lead this extraordinary company as the 7th CEO in its nearly 100-year history. Again, I want to thank the board and Bob for their confidence in me. I can't wait to get started, and with that, I'll turn it back over to Lowell, and Bob and I will be happy to answer your questions.
why now to Bob Iger, and whether the announcement was accelerated for any reason. I know you had a number of almost 2 years left, but at the same time have delayed this decision for some time. So just wanted to get your comment on the timing. And then for Bob Chapek, Bob, could you talk a little bit about your views on the businesses that you haven't spent time running, in particular, the direct-to-consumer business and media networks, and how you look at the future of those businesses now that you've got this expanded role?
As you know, we recently acquired 21st Century Fox, the closing of the deal sometime in 2019, and then we deployed our new direct-to-consumer strategy with the launch of ESPN Plus and then Disney Plus. So the company's gotten larger and the company's gotten more complex just in the recent 12 months. And I felt that with the asset base in place and with our strategy essentially deployed, that I should be spending as much time possible on basically the creative side of our businesses, because with the asset base in place and the strategy in place, that becomes the biggest priority. And in thinking about what I want to accomplish before I leave the company at the end of 21, getting everything right creatively would be my number one goal. I could not do that if I were running the company on a day-to-day basis. It just obviously takes that much time and is so complex. And so the goal was for me to turn over the day-to-day management of the company to Bob, with direct authority over all of our businesses and basically all elements of the company, and free me up just to basically focus on the creative side. It was really that simple. It was not accelerated for any particular reason other than we felt the need was now to make this change. We've been engaged as a board in a really comprehensive and very serious succession process, and we have identified Bob actually quite some time ago as a likely successor to mine. And with everything else falling in place, the time seemed right. This gives him the opportunity also to work with me over the next number of months to create the smoothest possible transition, so that when I leave, he will be familiar with all elements of the company, not just those that he's already managed, but those that he will now begin to manage in his new role.
And in terms of your question about the businesses that I've not managed, Bob has been great in terms of giving me exposure across many segments of the company. Spent 19 years in the studio, then moved on to consumer products and then on to parks. So I've had probably a fairly broad overview of how the company operates, regardless of the different industries that we work in. That said, obviously I've not spent as much time on the media side or direct-to-consumer side, but we have some really great experienced leaders that are in place in those businesses. And the way that Bob essentially manages his direct team is that we have a lot of cross-fertilization. We meet every single week and discuss each other's businesses. And so while I certainly have an opportunity to immerse myself more inside those media businesses, I have a bit of fluency, just like my peers have some fluency in our business, and I'm familiar with the opportunities and some of the challenges that they all face.
I guess first question to Bob Iger. You mentioned get everything right creatively going forward. Is that working closer with the Fox assets or really across the board? I'm not sure if you could be any more specific than that, but that would be helpful. And then to Bob Chapek, I guess probably not a fair question given it's day one, but what do you see as the biggest challenge and sort of the biggest hurdles ahead?
So much of what we created the company from a value proposition perspective emanates from creativity across basically all of our businesses and globally. And so my intention is to really spend time on all of our creative endeavors, whether they're at ESPN or at the Fox Studios or at our media networks, our newly acquired businesses like Hulu, for instance, or Disney Plus. There's ample amount for me to focus on and to engage with our team on.
And in terms of the biggest challenges that we might have going forward, obviously each one of our businesses, just like every business in the world, is experiencing disruption. Disruption because of new technologies, new ways that consumers are choosing to enjoy our products. And we want to stay on the front end of that wave, which is why we implemented our direct-to-consumer strategy with Disney Plus and ESPN Plus. So I think the challenge going forward is going to be, how do we continue to have a leg up on our competition and understand when the market's changing and stay ahead of that, so that we're proactively transforming as opposed to in any way reacting.
So firstly, for Bob Chapek, question I have for you is, for those that don't know you, given your background and your experiences, what do you see as kind of your chief accomplishments, skill sets that will help you in this pivot to DTC? So that's one. And then two is, given Bob Iger, your focus on all facets of the job, creative, strategy, and the business aspects, I wonder, do you see a role going forward for maybe a chief creative officer at Disney, that's below the CEO? Is that potentially what could happen as you leave Bob Iger?
I feel that I know the company extremely well. And even before I joined the company, I started off in advertising. I then went into consumer packaged goods and then went into essentially packaged goods of our media. So everything in my career has been a consumer-oriented business. That's where I've played. So the idea that now I'll be able to take that background and experience, including everything that I've done in consumer products and in our parks, and now employ to a direct-to-consumer business, feels like it's well within my wheelhouse.
And with regard to your a question about a chief creative officer, no. I actually intend to work very closely with Bob as I direct the creative efforts of the company. My goal is that when I leave here, he'll be just as steeped in all matters creative at the company as I am today. And I thought if we were to either give me the title of chief creative officer or name someone, it would imply that we had a need, and I don't think that's the case.
So let's put all of this in perspective. As I mentioned, Bob Iger will be around until 2021. He'll basically be holding Chapek's hand and have ultimate decision on creative endeavors. Not much is going to change at Disney, and Bob Iger has put himself in a position where he gets to make all the decisions and not take the blame for it. Remember that it will fall on Chapek to appoint a replacement for Kathleen Kennedy in 2021. Bob Iger will probably assist in that decision and then step away. So then the failure or success, if he's lucky, of the replacement will fall on Chapek. Bob Iger is very sly and has basically left himself in control, but without the responsibility of what's going on. Now, if things continue to go wrong with Star Wars, everyone's going to point the finger at Chapek. But in reality, the person behind all of this is Bob Iger. Bob Iger has been there a long time. It's time for someone new. And Bob Iger, as I mentioned, has been involved in a lot of nasty things with Disney. You have the case of Ollie Jones, where his father wanted to put Spider-Man on his grave, a little 4-year-old boy, and Disney refused to allow them. Just recently, Disney fined an elementary school for playing The Lion King at a fundraiser for the school. And there's many other instances of Disney's wrongdoing. While Chapek is experience-wise more qualified than Iger, he's not a great CEO either. He is known for running the parks into the ground. Many of the parks have several problems, and if you're someone that follows Disney theme parks, you know that name. Basically, Bob Chapek is to the Disney parks what Kathleen Kennedy is to Star Wars. So this isn't necessarily a great thing for the future of Disney, Star Wars, Marvel, etc. I'm happy to see someone replace Bob Iger personally, especially since that means that it's just that much closer to replacing Kathleen Kennedy. But I want to stress that things aren't really going to change. Bob Chapek has his own record of failures. He's going to be not only mentored by Bob Iger, but all these years he's been under Bob Iger. So they didn't choose him because he's rebellious or going to do things very differently. On the contrary, Bob Iger has been preparing him for this for years. They made their final decision just recently, but naturally all these years he's been somewhat tutoring him. So don't expect any major changes, anything big to happen. Things are going to be business as usual at Disney, just a different Bob. I just wanted to clear up because everyone is going on about Bob Iger has stepped down because of Star Wars failure and different things that they're saying, and it's just not true. This was planned, the time has come, and at the end of the day, Bob Iger is still in control of everything. Really, he's laughing in the background because he gets to make all the decisions and has none of the responsibility. Now the new Bob is going to have to face whatever the old Bob does. What will the new Bob do in 2 years when he has full control? Time will tell, but he doesn't have the greatest track record, and I wouldn't expect anything very different from him either. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the video. May the Force be with you.